how LA became a dystopia that I wanted to watch. Because I'm like, I'm LA's greatest defender. And I want to see what, is it just about the minor problems of traffic and cost of living and no public transport and having one of the most horrendous hellscape airports of any major city? Because that's nothing. These are minor problems. Forget that the weather is great and we have LeBron James.
This is Los Angeles, the second largest city in the United States.
He says Angeles. I already don't like it. I already don't like this video.
But it looks different compared to New York City and Chicago. It has big yards and low buildings. It doesn't fit the typical image of overcrowding you'd expect from a place like Midtown Manhattan. But behind that facade of cute freestanding homes are families that are doubling up and spending more than half their income on housing.
Yeah.
The suburban look is hiding a housing crisis, while simultaneously being the cause of that crisis. And this is the result,
I wouldn't say
not
it's
of
hiding
chance
it.
or of specific political ideology, but of decades of decisions from
Zoning?
individuals across the political spectrum that have prevented new housing from being built, even as more people moved in. This is the story about the evil design of Los Angeles and why LA can't build. These are the rents in New York and San Francisco, but this is the rent in LA. It doesn't seem that awful at first glance, but it's only half the picture. Incomes are much lower in LA. Half of all tenants in LA spend over 50% of their income on rent and utilities. It has the highest home price to income ratio in the United States.
Atrioc, I can save you 40 minutes. He just says they need to build one more lane to fix all the issues. Okay, good. I was worried, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, actually, that is the problem. When you look around LA, you're like, wait a minute, couldn't this all be fixed with one more lane?
As a result, it also has the worst overcrowding in the nation. Others drive until they afford, with commutes of over 90 minutes each way.
Oh.
Hours of life gone that will never come back, stuck in traffic.
I mean, I've said this before, but I think a study that stuck with me, it said the greatest predictor of unhappiness in a job is commute. Every minute over 30 minutes your commute is, your satisfaction with any job, no matter how good the job, plummets. Like it's a free fall. Once you're getting to 40, 50, 60 minutes, it's like you could have the best job in the world and you will hate it. And so, yeah, that is a important, I think, reason why I think LA is frustrating for a lot of people. I mean, I think I've lived in LA 2 times in my life. One when I was broke and one when I'm doing more well off, all right? And the truth is, obviously money makes a big difference, but I would say the other part of that is that I have a job where I don't have to do normal 9 to 5 hours. So I don't think it's just that. It's that I don't have to be stuck in fucking traffic. Because the big part about LA that frustrated me when I was first here was that I would have to commute to the west side of LA from Rancho fucking Cucamonga, and I would be doing 80 to 90 minute drives. And that shit was miserable. My commute is 1 hour, 30 minutes using public transit, and it's faster than driving. That's crazy. Just go on your phone. I be texting and driving. Okay, first of all, if you're 90-minute texting and driving every day, you will kill somebody. You will guaranteed. That is, it's a math problem at that point. You're going to, no, what I do is I turn the Tesla autopilot on and then I keep my feet up and watch a movie. Because Elon got me. And I kiss out the window. In my Cybertruck, dude. In the Cybertruck, yeah. And I always take the HOV lane, even though I have no other passengers, because I feel like Grok is my friend and he's in the car with me. If a cop pulls me over, I have Grok talk to them. Okay? So it's a free HOV lane.
That was artificially created and unnecessary. The Los Angeles metropolitan area stretches 80 miles inland, deep into the desert.
Robert Stacks, thank you for the gifties! To help save LA.
And yet, LA leaders have repeatedly opposed efforts to build more housing. But it wasn't always this way. Videos like these wouldn't be possible without our sponsors, like Opera. Link is in the description.
That's a big fucking Opera ad for an 11-minute video.
LA was once a cheap place to live that built lots of housing, with a pro-growth government. In the early 1900s, investors built new streetcar lines and built housing on the land around them. Later on, development followed cars and roads. Ironically, the same mild weather that could have made LA a walkable city enabled it to become the first car-centered city. Early cars were open-air vehicles that couldn't handle bad weather. A popular type of multifamily housing during this time was the bungalow court. They placed several small houses around a landscaped courtyard in the middle.
Okay.
It combined the appeal of one's own house with the affordability of only needing a fraction of a standard lot. Most bungalow courts did not have parking. There were even limits to how many parking spaces could be built. Instead, residents parked along the curb at the side of the street.
Right.
But as more bungalow courts were built, curbside parking could not keep up.
Yeah.
A bungalow court could have 8 to 10 homes, but only enough space to park 3 cars in front. In 1934 to 1935, LA zoning was changed to require that every unit...
Well, luckily by changing the zoning, they have truly fixed parking in Los Angeles. Nobody in LA complains about parking anymore. That is one problem we never, ever talk about. It just doesn't come up. It's not the centerpiece of almost every conversation going anywhere. It is nothing. So thank God.
Come with a parking space, with more for larger homes. Rather than being left at bare minimum to market forces, it was mandated from above. As the 2-car household became more common, parking requirements were further increased in 1958. As a result, during LA's post-war housing boom, bungalow courts were illegal to build. Instead, a new type of housing was invented, the dingbat. It's named after the large decorations tacked onto the front of the building. Designed to have a parking space for each apartment, the classic dingbat is a 2-story wood building with stucco walls.
Yeah,
Most of the first floor is parking, with apartments in the back and
you don't really
perched
want to
above
live
the
in a
parking lot
dingbat,
stilts.
though.
Like bungalow courts, a typical dingbat could have 6 to 12 homes on a single lot. The golden age of the dingbat ended in the mid-1960s, when parking requirements were increased again to 1.5 spaces for each 2-bedroom apartment. This was very hard to fit on a single lot. The 50-foot width of a standard Los Angeles lot is less than the 60-feet width of a standard parking aisle. Instead, developers shifted to combining lots to build larger apartment buildings with semi-underground parking.
Why don't we just make all the buildings parking lots? And you can sort of live in the gaps. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we're thinking of parking lots as like housing first and parking lots are in addition to that. I think we should think about parking lots first and housing is a nice to have bonus on that. Or we should all drive RVs and everything should be a fucking parking lot. We just gotta flip the paradigms.
But then Los Angeles downzoned, reducing the size of buildings allowed. However,
you know what we should do is I think the entire metro area of Los Angeles, we should pave with a bulldozer and make it entirely flat parking lot, the whole thing. And then all the houses will be underground. So you can it's just like an endless parking lot as far as the eye can see. And we can live. And that way we remove the worst part of LA, which is the weather. And we get the best part, which is driving. Driving, dude. I think. And the smog. I do think, maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure there's a bigger one. But the Dodger Stadium parking lot is like the biggest parking lot I've ever seen in my life. And I've been all over the world. The Dodger Stadium parking lot just, if you stand at one end of it, you can't see the horizon. It feels like the parking stretches forever, bro.
Requirements ended up doing that anyway. After the 1960s, many buildings weren't built to the maximum height or density allowed because there was no way to provide enough parking for that many apartments. Unable to build up, LA built outwards. Boxed in by mountains and the ocean, suburban development followed freeways, crossing mountain passes and county lines into surrounding valleys. By the early 2000s, this model stopped working. Los Angeles had sprawled out 80 miles inland, deep into Riverside and San Bernardino counties.
But I want to show you what I'm talking about. Dodger Stadium parking lot. And here's like an aerial view. This is not really the greatest. This is like a 60s version. This is not what I want. Where's a modern version? Is there no high-res version of this? Oh, here you go. Here's like a... This is sort of it. It's so big, dude. But it looks so much more. It looks so much more wild when it's full. It's so crazy. But especially when you're elevated, like when you're, because they made me park like up in the hills. It was so full. Went to a playoff game, and like you're walking down the hill, and it's just cars forever. Your eyes can't even. Anyway, greatest city on God's green earth. I stand by that.
The same thing that happened to Los Angeles happened to its suburbs when land ran out. Housing costs went up, doubling in just a few years. As gas prices soared, long commutes went from merely being unpleasant to unaffordable. But the double crisis of high gas prices and high housing costs had at least one silver lining.
Wait.
Angelinos were finally starting to take the train again, which had difficulty competing with the very centrally planned automobile. Seeing the need and the opportunity, activists worked with then LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa to fund transit. The effort brought together business, labor, environmentalists to back a ballot measure to fund the construction of new rail lines and other transit improvements. In 2008, Los Angeles voters approved Measure R. It was close. Due to a 1978 California ballot measure, 2/3 of voters had to vote yes for Measure R to pass. 67% voted yes. However, building transit would not solve LA's housing crisis. Behind Los Angeles' past downzoning and current reluctance to allow housing near transit is a deep-seated opposition to build new housing. To many voters in this car-dependent city, the idea of more neighbors meant more traffic. And to many landowners, rising housing costs weren't a bad thing. It meant that the land their homes sat on was worth more. These landowners were often the only ones to vote. Until 2020, when Los Angeles switched to even-year elections, voter turnout could be as low as 11%. The LA suburbs were no better, with the metropolitan area fragmented into 191 cities, of which less than a quarter lived in the city of Los Angeles. A win in one city was not enough. Much of the coast, where a lot of the region's jobs were located, is outside the LA city limits. Recent years in LA local policy has been one step forward, one step backwards. In 2022, newly elected LA Mayor Karen Bass signed Executive Directive 1. ED1 directed city staff to review and approve plans for affordable housing faster. Projects that previously faced a multi-year and uncertain approval process were now guaranteed a permit within a couple of months. ED1 was a big success. This was good policy. Private developers submitted plans to build affordable housing, even without needing a subsidy. But in the world of LA politics, it was too big of a success. By the following year, much of the law had been rolled back. Single-family zones, which made up 3/4 of the city, were made off-limits. Los Angeles ended up stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, some homeowners who preach the virtues of free enterprise and markets, but who fight tooth and nail to keep strict government regulations in place. They block liberalization and use the law to artificially prop up their land values, ensuring housing does not commodify. On the other hand, progressives who talk about affordability but make it even more difficult for private developers to build. Out of fear of people extracting profits, when so many people can't afford to live, they put counterproductive burdens on those who actually build and renovate houses, while indirectly handing a fortune to the people who simply inherit them. Because the scarcity...
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest problems is this fucking CEQA environmental law from the fucking Reagan era. You can use it in California to block anyone building anything, and they have to do like a mandatory environmental review. It's so... Sorry for coughing into the mic. It's so fucked. Newsom amended. I know there's been some changes recently, and hopefully they can make progress, but I gotta be honest, the financial incentive is so against it because people, they just don't want their housing price to go down. And they know that if they build a dense housing unit near them...
still remains. Luckily, starting in the mid-2010s, the YIMBY movement organized to pass new laws to remove obstacles to building housing. These included reducing parking requirements and allowing more housing to be built. But the LA region never got on board. In 2025, San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener introduced SB 79, his third attempt to override local zoning and allow apartments to be built near transit stations. As the bill approached its final votes in the state capitol, LA City Council members Tracy Park and John Lee organized to oppose it. They represented wealthy suburban districts along the coast and in the San Fernando Valley. Together, they introduced a resolution to have the city of Los Angeles formally oppose SB 79. Katie Yaroslavsky, Heather Hunt, Isabel Urado, Tim McOsker, Imelda Padilla, and Monica Rodriguez joined Park and Lee in voting to maintain artificially induced scarcity. Mayor Karen Bass agreed with them.
Fucked!
Of LA's 15 council members, only 5 were pro SB 79. Among them, Councilmember Rahman, who urged the council to support SB 79, stating that the LA Council talk a lot about our housing crisis on this body, but our actions...
That's why, we talked about this on the pod, but I like Japan having federal zoning, so it's not even in your hands. Like, you as a local area don't get to fucking decide. I prefer that, because if it's local politics down to it, they're dominated by the people in that area that own housing. And so it's super incentivized to never build anything. It just can't be in your control. They will always fucking block it.
Have not met the moment. Back in the state capitol, many LA legislators voted no or skipped the vote, functionally the same as voting no. Many represented the same neighborhoods as the council members that opposed SB 79. Luckily, a coalition of legislators from California's other major cities, the Bay Area, San Diego, and Sacramento, joined forces with rural legislators to pass SB 79. Rural areas were tired of dealing with the spillover effects of the urban housing shortage. As a final sweetener, SB 79 was narrowed to only apply to urban counties to get the bill over the finish line. The housing shortage remains severe. While zoning obstacles have been overcome, construction remains slow due to a weak economy and rising construction costs.
Yeah, lumber's pricey
but at long
right
last, there's light at the end of the tunnel for Los Angeles. However, for much of the rest of the country, the problems are just getting started. Wherever the US is headed, California will get there first. Due to high housing costs, many Californians moved to cheaper parts of the country, especially when remote work became more popular.
They went to Texas and Florida.
But what was cheap to Californians became unaffordable for locals. In cities across the Sun Belt and Mountain West, there wasn't enough supply to meet this added demand. Worse, many of these cities still following the playbook that LA used in the late 20th century, artificially created suburban sprawl and highways. While some don't have mountains or oceans hemming them in like LA, many have squandered that extra land by building at a density even lower than LA. Eventually, they too will hit a dead end when there's no more room to build outward that's still within commuting range. Yeah. Whether they will learn from Los Angeles and reverse course in time is to be seen.
Interesting video. It really wasn't so much about LA. I mean, other than one part of LA, which is the bad zoning, which is very interesting, but it was really just about housing. But it was interesting. I agree with all of it. Yeah, 100%.